story, or attempt to anyway. There'd be fluffs and things, but I'm going to read it. Whatever. Alright, mistakes and all. It's a story that I wrote a few years ago. By the way, my phone is stuck into a pack of grapes. Brilliant. Works really well. Where was I? Okay, I wrote the story a few years ago in 2015. It's called Bacon and Eggs, or The Beat Goes On. And the whole thing behind these types of stories basically is that I like the little person in Doctor Who, the person who gets forgotten, who maybe was never on screen, but somewhere in that universe they're quite important. It might be the first woman who designed the TARDIS, it might be the first alien that ever came across a particular type of wine the Doctor drinks in an episode. I like doing, stories about people that are forgotten or never heard of. So I've created this character called Beat, and he works for the Gallifrey Corporation, maybe, something like that anyway, and he's in a cafe in a dismal urban town, probably London actually, thinking about it might work, or part of the suburbs, and it's a really wet, rainy, dreary day. Beat sat in a cafe in a town that he had forgotten the name of. He neither cared about where he was, nor cared about his job in it. He was painfully bored, but the job paid. His father and grandfather and great-grandfather, and great-great-great-grandfather still tell him, in their days, jobs were hard to come by. But these days, things were expanding, economy was at its healthiest. Travelling the way he does was once privileged, but now so common you could throw a spoon in the air and practically hit another like himself wandering about in time and space. If the spoon, of course, was a trans-dimensional one that could traverse time and space. Maybe that was an exaggeration, but he still felt like there had to be better jobs available. He would just have to wait for another 200 years for this one to end first. A contract is a contract after all. He shoveled a lump of tomato sauce into a funnel. It was connected to a small electronic device. The funnel sucked quickly at the gloop and made a tiny sound. He picked a fat, greasy chip off his plate and fed that in too. The funnel looked too small for the deep-fried potato chunk, but the device still took it and delivered a again. Okay, a tomato now. This was particularly large, and there looked like no easy way of balancing the red, slightly charred fruit on the funnel, yet, when pushed surreptitiously off the edge of the plate to the funnel spout under the table, its suction held it fast. It wobbled slightly, but then finally poured it into the small black box. Right, some bacon. He had tested all the food first, of course. He had to. It was his job. He had tested all the food with his mouth. He has the most highly sensitive taste buds than any other collector, according to all of the tests. Sure, you could cheat. You could design your taste buds to be super sensitive to do the job, but his boss wanted natural, not forced. Natural was in vogue, and, well, actually more accurate anyway. Accuracy was very important to the job, as you didn't want some Prydonian toff moaning about the flavours of Gumblejack being too bitter by a hundredth of a Drex, or a nightfish being a fifth of a Drex too creamy, or even a Banplummian owl tasting too much like a brown jack squirrel from the mountain ranges of Chi-Chi, the Pink Moon. They do actually taste quite similar. The last real complaint was a soundbite collected from a Type 40 TARDIS. These time-travelling units were designed to record all conversations, feelings and thoughts of the Time Lords travelling within, and anyone else who happened to stumble aboard. The data would get stored and checked and filed and rechecked and distributed and rechecked and finally logged and filed. At one of these check-in stages was a recording of an English Earth human school teacher expressing the saltiness of British bacon, circa 1960s. It was filed a good few hundred years late, or early, time travel is a complex business, as the Type 40 had a major comms fault when it was pulled in after being stolen some while back. Paradox leaks were rife in that one, but the engineers promised they had sorted it out before the refit and updates. That was the machine that housed that irksome Time Lord criminal with a terrible dress sense for a while. Finally, though, he did get caught. What was his name? The vet. the nurse, something like that. There was a whole load of downloading to be done from his TARDIS, including all the food machine updates. Salty bacon was a complaint that Beat had to deal with. So here he was, updating the new time-travelling unit's food machine's taste controllers. Except it wasn't just bacon he had to collect, it was the whole damn lot again. The boss wanted Beat to collect the flavours from all of Earth's foods establishments, shops and time zones from the whole of this decade. He hated his boss with a passion. Earth, 1960. A cafe in a suburb of London. Winter time, cold, and it was raining. Again. What a miserable little world. A bell dinged and a door stubbornly opened. Condensation fell to a dirty brown mat as the frame juddered. "All right, Martha. How was you then, all right?" This was Monty, a scruffy-looking man in his mid-40s. He lumbered towards the cafe counter, rested his arm on it and coughed. His unkempt shoulder-length wispy hair that was showing signs of early grey and seemed to dance a fandango close to the extractor fan as his wide, glassy eyes, like two marbles, stared at the heavily made-up woman holding two giant lardy cakes. She gave him an almighty wink and shouted out, "Usual Monty with all the trimmings, hee." "Oh yes, pleasey. You know how to treat a man, you do. I hope Charlie's keeping you well, 'cause if he ain't, I have a lovely place in my life for a beauty like you." He smiled a wide smile, which seemed to reveal a big chin when his lips rose and met the bottom of his nose. "I heard that, Monty," came a reply from the kitchen. "You want me to poison your black pudding, mate? You scoundrel." There was general laughter from the customers, but Beat just sat and stared with disdain. If there was anything worse than collecting new data for the food machines of Gallifrey, it was listening to locals chat, gossip, and make inane jokes at each other, prattling on about the always terrible weather and the quality of their tea, aches and pains from elbows to arses, children, the rich, football, money, and other dull subjects. This happened all the time in cafes, pubs and supermarkets, and it was just as dull at the exclusive hotels and restaurants. They would also moan about the terrible weather and the quality of the wine, aches and pains from tennis elbow to gout, children, the poor, golf, money, and other dull subjects. Predictable, annoying, and dull. Dull, dull. At least the Ganymedians think at each other. 30 years of peace, that was. Bliss. Absolute bliss. Part 2 coming soon.